Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is Muhammad Hassan Bazlan bin Muhammad SABRI. My matrix number is 271921. I'm going to answer the first question, which is the potential benefits of the convention to the host country, specifically in Malaysia. First is the rise the profile of the city or the country. Increasing the profile of a city can lead to the lasting economic benefits. For example, cities which host the Olympics can be assured of a persistent increase in recognition and tourism. For example, in Barcelona, Sydney, Beijing have all seen this from hosting the Olympics. For a country like China, with a controversial human rights record, hosting a major sporting event can be a way to gain greater international acceptance. When South Africa hosted the Rugby World Cup and later the Football World Cup, it was a defining moment in highlighting the new post-apartheid South Africa. This race profile can be important for giving economic benefits such as attracting tourists and business investment. The importance of this point depends on the particular city. For South Africa, the World Cup made a big difference to perception of South Africa. For a city like London, which already has a very strong reputation, hosting the Olympics will be less influential. This is going to be a great advantage to our country. However, even hosting the Commonwealth Games can be beneficial for a city like Manchester or Kuala Lumpur, which benefit from hosting games despite the persistence of the rain in our country. Second is delegates spend more. It's simple. If it's about optimizing economic returns, that little question which travelers spend more. A variety of studies over many years have consistently shown that delegates outspend visitors' average, and for some very obvious reason. They are more likely to be business or professional people than the average visitor. Many are on the expense of being paid by the employers, and this is reflected in where they stay and how much they are prepared to spend. Third is the long-term investment. A significant benefit is the long-term investment which comes from preparing for a major event. The city or the country will have a legacy of improved sporting venues. Also, cities will usually have to invest in infrastructure and transport to cater for an influx of tourists or the athlete if the sport event. For example, there has been significant investment in public transport projects around Kuala Lumpur. This will leave a lasting legacy for residents of Kuala Lumpur, especially in the middle of the city. From the 2012, for example, in London, from the 2012 London Olympics, the East of London has benefited from improved public transport in that city. Fourth is the use of established accommodation. In a time when they are growing and often worrisome, alternative for visitors accommodation, including the online rental of the private lodging, delegates are much more likely to option for traditional venues such as hotel and then many other visitors in order to be closer to the action part of the conference structure and because they don't have as much need to economize. This is far more consistent with how the visitor economy is structured in most destinations and for less disruptive than if they were scattered all over the city as many forms of alternate lodgings. Fifth is the job and investment. The several years of planning and investment will help to create jobs and can revitalize depressed cities. This was an important claim. For example, I would like to talk about the London Olympics. Choosing a site in East London which at the time was relatively depressed. It is estimated the London Olympics 2012 will create 8,000 full-time jobs and lead to a boost in economic output of close to 2 billion euro. 6 is enthusiasm. It is often easy to find reason not to host a major sporting event or other event, and too much debt. More important is the priorities. But a major sporting event can create enthusiasm and excitement for such an event. It also can help promote uptake of sport, which has lasting benefits for the nation's health. Also, a major sporting event can lead to a rise of volunteerism in people, which promote civic virtues. Seventh is the short-term economic benefits. For example, in the Olympics, we can see a surge in visitors, athlete, and also the media. This will provide an increase in spending and injection of money into the local economy. However, this injection of money will be only a short term, maybe a few weeks, and make a little overall impact on the wider economy. Also, the injection of foreign visitors may be offset by local living to avoid the influx and overcrowding. For the second question, is the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic to the meetings, incentive, convention and events exposition MICE industry. First is the strict SOP. MICE is a very big meeting of people. The participants really need to follow the current SOP of COVID-19 in order to prevent the virus from spread. If someone did not follow the SOP, the possibility spreading of the COVID-19 might happen. That's why the organizers need to set up a strict SOP and all the participants need to follow. These things will bring a problem and really trouble not only for the participants but also the organizers. They also need to ask some help by the agency, for example the police, and to help them to make sure that all the participants need to follow the SOP. Any participants who did not want to follow the SOP will be penalized and cannot enter the MICE. These matters might make the participants to not feel comfortable, and I think that many of them will not want to join the program or the MICE. This will cause a decrease in term of registration from the participants. The second is the bankruptcy, or more detail is bankruptcy crisis. Most facilities have adapted and reviewed their routines based on the prevailing situation. Still, many companies have gone or risk going to bankrupt or become bankrupt or to bankruptcy. Others have been forced to cut the staff. Most facilities have adapted and reviewed their routine based on the prevailing situation. Indebtedness has increased, as has uncertainty about the future. Efforts are needed both to secure companies' demand and to ensure stability in the companies. The urgent support to companies have been necessary. There must be a workplace to return to when the acute phase is over. The already ongoing structural transformation as a result of information and communication technology as well as digital technology has accelerated. This increased structural unemployment in a combination in the industries most affected by the crisis, such as hospitality industries. Third is effect cues to action on attendees' attitudes and behavioral intention to attend online MICE events. Cues to action refer to stimuli that affect the intention of an individual to use a certain service, and this can originate from social influence, personal experience, or potential change possibilities. The HBM posits that people need to queue to action to motivate their readiness to engage in a health behavior. During the COVID-19 pandemic, if the participants in offline MICE events can have COVID-19, the risk associated with the participating in an offline MICE will increase, which will have a negative impact on attendees' intention to participate in offline MICE events and a positive impact on the behavioral intention of online MICE technology. In addition, strong action cues will have a positive impact on behavior. For example, some of the researchers reported that effective nursing education as a health promotion strategy can improve the behavior of nursing students and prevent the spread of COVID-19, both locally and also globally. As such, the benefits of following positive cues to action will encourage consumers to develop positive attitudes such as trust in technology, and it will also facilitate purchase intention or behavioral intention. Third question is, how do normal practice are implemented to the MICE industry? First is government need to open border, leveraging health certification and standardized cross-border health protocol. MICE are a business aspect that contains travel and such as attending conference and meeting and traveling and are rewarded with incentive. It is an essential aspect of conducting contemporary business nowadays. Event planning, it had become a norm before the pandemic, and the MICE industries had become more globalized. Traditional way of conducting meetings and conference was taken mainly by face-to-face, which is now slowly being replaced by digital and online session. The primary reasons for conducting seminars and conference were to promote person-to-person goodwill and networking. MICE industries are used to make a substantial part of the revenue for hospitality and accommodation from this event. The five industries involve booking, accommodation, and catering and restaurant service, bar halls, transportation, spa, and many others. Before the pandemic, the business started some other kind of operations such as event organization and outside catering for weddings and other events. It was understandably a significant blow to the industry when everything was stopped by COVID-19 pandemic. During this period, most of these businesses have adopted the mode of experimenting with other option of holding meetings online and other events such as pre-recording lectures and speech, holding meeting through Zoom and Skype calls. Second is the technology. Multiple types of technology evolved and were increasingly used during as a result of COVID-19. For example, COVID-19 driven social distancing, quarantine, and isolation accelerate to the adoption of and dependence on digital technology for shopping, healthcare, work, and education. A trend that will continue to depend, especially among countries in Asia and the whole world. Broadband, internet, and 5G cellular access will also continue to expand throughout the region, which in turn to help boost economic growth and productivity throughout the region. However, significant inequalities in access will remain. Third is the strengthen health and safety, apply sanitation measures to tourism infrastructure, and address gap in medical infrastructure. and other supply chains. Government will need to standardize and enhance health and safety measures and make them permanent from the local to the national level. In particular, this should feature hygiene and cleaning practice for travel and tourism destination sites and business. Visitors, residents and business alike will expect higher health. And for the recommendation and hygiene standard which need to be embedded into visitors' infrastructure. Immediate policy response for enhanced health and safety measures such as lockdown, enhanced hygiene and cleaning, social distancing in public places, vaccination campaign and phase in business reopening have been generally successful. Many of the measures have become standard, especially hygiene and cleaning practice, and should become permanent. COVID-19 also forced national introspection on gaps in medical and educational system as well as supply chains for essential goods and services which need to be urgently addressed.